everyone. Welcome to Conversations with T. Or let me stop. Hold on. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with T, organic and down-to-earth conversations where we explore the fields of perinatal and maternal health and the intersectionality of spirituality and psychology. I am your host and your sister friend, Shatia Tee Owsley, and each episode we will take a deep dive into understanding the outstanding sacred work of BIPOC birth workers, spiritualists, and other holistic health professionals making tremendous impacts in the world of birth. Together, we will listen to stories, insights, and have meaningful conversations with experts in the field of perinatal and maternal health, psychology, and spiritual health. Whether you're a parent, a birth worker, a maternal health professional, a herbalist, a spiritualist, or just curious to learn about the world of birth from the lens of some dope BIPOC professionals, you've come to the right place. So grab your headphones, a warm drink, sit back, and let's vibe together. So today I would like to introduce my sister friend, our guest, Ashlee Johnson. Thank you, Boo, for being here today.
Thank you for the invite. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Ashlee is a proud mom, a wife, a licensed childbirth educator. She teaches expectant parents about labor and the birth process, interventions and alternatives, and helps them better understand the physical and emotional changes that they undergo. She also shares her expertise and resources with doulas so that they can better impact maternal health outcomes. Back in 2019, Ashlee launched her own company, Black Birth Central, and released the Birth Class in a Box, which I purchased. And I loved an Afrocentric, affordable, and evidence-based approach to prepare women for labor. The Birth Class in a Box was designed around Ashlee's distinctive ENTER method for having a breathtaking birth, which stands for engage in the process, nurture yourself and baby, take control of the process, exercise and practice, and relaxation and reduce stress. I'm so excited that you're here today. I know I read your bio, and it's just a little snippet of all the stuff that you're doing out here in this world. Okay, just a little bit. But please introduce yourself and let us know how you got started on your journey to birth work.
Yeah. So like you said, my name is Ashlee Jaye Johnson. I got started in 2015 after, really, I should say 2014 is really when I got started into birth work. I was pregnant with my first son, and I told my husband, I said, I'm afraid of needles. I don't like hospitals, so we're gonna have to figure something out. And so he found a birth center that was almost an hour away from our house. And I started receiving care there. And they were like, you need to take a birth class. So I took the Bradley method. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Bradley is 12 weeks long. Mm-hmm. And you go to somebody's house who's teaching it, and you're in a class of like 5 or 6 other couples. And every class you're learning something new, and then you practice relaxation at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And it was mind-blowing. Like, I learned so much about birth, about my body, about the process, about the business of birth. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is amazing. And I ended up having a water birth at a birth center with my son. It was a really awesome experience. And I was like, yo, more people need to know about this. Like, my experience was nothing like the stories that I heard from my sisters and my cousins and, random people who feel the necessity to tell you their stories when they see that you're pregnant, right?
Right.
And so I was like, oh my goodness, I need to tell people about this. And so I applied to be a childbirth educator through Bradley, and 6 months later, I became a childbirth educator and a doula. I tried my hand at being a doula for a little bit and was like, oh, this is not for me. Because I knew I was going to be in hospitals, right? This was mm-hmm. before like birth centers and home births were really popular. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not about to traumatize myself. So I'm going to just teach y'all, and I'll connect y'all to some doulas, and then I'm going to be on my way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so yeah. And I just kind of have evolved over the years mm-hmm. as a childbirth educator, and started to see gaps in how businesses, Black businesses in particular in this area, were not being sustained. And so, you know, started doing a little bit of business coaching and just filling in the gaps for birth workers. And so that's kind of where I find myself now.
Awesome. I love it. We're going to have to pause for 1 second. So after you determined not being a doula was for you, and you were like, I'm going to go and I'm going to be more on the business side of things, and step in, what was that transition like? Moving from I'm going to do direct care to no, it's not. This is not my thing, and moving more into helping birth professionals, rather than being direct care with clients.
Well, I was in a bit of a transition period anyway, right? So I was doing in-person childbirth education classes, but a lot of the people that were coming to me were white families. And I really wanted to work with Black families because I felt like we were the ones that were missing out on this information, right? Like we know that there's issues across the board, but it felt like there was less opportunity for us to really learn this information, right? And so when I'm like, okay, I want to serve Black folks, but they don't see 12 weeks as necessary or valuable, right? Or also like, who has the time for that? Right? Right? Like, who has the time? So I was kind of in a space anyway of like trying to figure out what to do next. And so that's where I created the Birth Class in a Box. And a lot of birth workers were already coming to me like, oh, this is great. I want to use this. Can I use this in my practice, or is it only for families? And so it was kind of a natural progression. And already in other ways, I had been sharing with people how to use social media, how to get themselves out there, right? By trade and by, degree, I'm a communications and marketing, professional. So I kind of already had those skills and been doing that on the professional side or outside of business, my own business. And so folks had already been asking me about, how do I use social media? How do I build a website? All those types of things. So it was kind of a natural progression. Like, you know what? I'm gonna just go on and lean into this. And it was fun, and it was nice to connect with folks in a different way and to really bring what I had spent years in school doing and bring that into my passion for like maternal health.
Yeah. And I just want to double back because you touched on again, and I read it in your bio, you creating this childbirth education class in a box. And so because I know many birth professionals, after we're kind of like done with direct care, or we kind of slow down because we need a little bit more flexibility, or some of us are burnt out. It's kind of like, well, what is the transition? What can I do now? What are the products that I can create, right? So you created this class. And so what was that process like? Like, what made you decide, I'm going to do this? Now, granted, I guess the transition for you was a little bit easier because you went through a childbirth education class, which was 12 weeks, and then you started teaching childbirth education. But then you saw, hey, there are some gaps here. But what was the creative process? What made you say, okay, what I'm going to create is different than what's already out there?
That's a great question. I mean, at the time that I created it, virtual birth classes were becoming more popular. And I don't know, I really wanted to do something that was fun, because the process when you get pregnant, right, there's so much you're thinking through and you're trying to figure out, like, oh, I need to work because I need to make more money so that I have money when the child comes here. Oh, who's going to take care of my other kids? What I'm going to do while I'm working? Like, there's so much stress that can be associated or added to your life when you become pregnant. And so I really wanted to find a way to bring some joy and some fun back into the process and not make it like, oh, here's another task. Here's another thing I have to do. And also a way to help families kind of bond, right? In a way to not just educate mom, but also her partner and grandma and auntie, because I knew that the support system and the community around her was going to be really important, right? Like my grad school thesis was about how the community impacts breastfeeding outcomes, right? And what the research shows is that breastfeeding outcomes are based on, one, the decision to breastfeed, like, yes, I'm going to do this. And two, the support that is around them. Like, are people saying, no, just give them a bottle, just do formula, versus like, okay, we can do this. Who do we need to call? Let's find a lactation consultant, right? Those types of things. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the same, right? That if it's like that for birth, I mean, for breastfeeding, it's definitely like this for birth. So how can I create something that'll help impact the whole environment and the whole system? And so that's where Birth Class in a Box came from.
I love it. And it was, I think I got one of the, I don't know how it has continued to evolve over time, but I want to say I got it when you first started to create them. And so it wasn't big and bulky. It was nice and handy and small and compact. And I was able to pull out my cards and I had all my little information that I needed right at my fingertips, which I loved. So what, I didn't have this big old manual. I didn't have all this. I could, learn on the go. And it was also put in my toolbox, in my arsenal, as talking points when I would meet with clients when I was doing birth doula work. So girl, thank you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you knew that you didn't want to be in the hospital anymore. You started, this transitioning and working, but you do talk a lot about more of the holistic side of caring for the family. And so what was the one thing that, or experience that you said, yeah, how they're doing it in the hospital is just, it's just not my vibe. There's a time and a place for everything, right? We understand that and we know. But understanding what our statistics are, what our birth outcomes are within the Black community, was that part of it? Or was there one specific experience or something that just clicked that said, no, I want to move to more of a holistic route when I am doing this integrative approach to helping families?
So with my own experience, it was simply fear, right? Like, I didn't know the statistics about birth and maternal health. I wasn't aware of those things, and like people dying in birth, like that was a foreign concept to me as a pregnant mom. But just in my regular life, hospitals were associated with trauma, right? And the history that I had learned about how they was out here experimenting on us in multiple different ways, right? Like totally unrelated to birth. Well, not totally, but in other ways, right? And so it really was just fear of like, there has to be a different way. Like it just, something in me just didn't sit right with the idea that I would have to go to this hospital and they were going to have to give me a needle or cut me open. I was like, that just doesn't feel right to me. Like something is off here. And so taking those birth classes and learning about the birth process, I was like, oh, so the issue is not birth. Right? It's not birth that's unsafe. It's actually all this extra stuff y'all adding to it that's unsafe. Right. And like seeing videos of folks giving birth, I was like, this is normal. Like they're treating it like it is an ailment that needs to be fixed when really it's a natural process that just needs to be supported. And so that's what really like pushed me like, we gotta do something else. And then push me to start telling other people about it. Like, I'm not unique, right? I'm not Superwoman. I'm not strong. I wasn't looking to be like, yeah, I didn't have no medicine. I just didn't want a needle in my back. Like that was right. Like that was it. And I tell folks all the time that I actually think the women that have the interventions, they're way stronger because their recovery time is longer, right? They have to heal themselves with this major surgery that they've had and try to learn this new baby and this new way of life. Like, I simply had to lay in bed and nurse. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was definitely like a push with fear of simply not wanting a needle.
Mm-hmm. 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 And I think that's big. I think that is a lot of people's explanation for why they are moving outside of the hospitals in order to birth, and because fear is really big, and whether they decide to even go into the hospitals or they do a home birth or they are at a birth center,
Mm-hmm.
fear is still a lot of times at the top of the list,
Yep.
on what's happening, even if they don't particularly know. Just like you said, the birth statistics, now there is out there a lot more, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still interesting to talk to people who still are they're just fearful because they just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is that when you are pregnant, learning, you are in the process of learning your body. It's a totally different teaching method than you have ever learned in your
Yep.
entire life, right?
Yep.
It is, no part is disconnected from the other part, and we
Mm-hmm.
all know we're doing holistic care, right? So
Yeah.
mind, body, and spirit, it's all together. Nothing is separate. But I feel like through pregnancy, you learn it. If you didn't know it before, you learn it through that process. It is truly a journey and a rebirth,
For sure.
that you're going through. And
For sure.
so integrating that in your work and talking to not only the families, but talking to birth professionals, especially new ones coming into this work, how
Mm-hmm.
do you ensure that they understand that nothing is separate, right? And that the physical aspects of birth are important, but the mental and the spiritual aspects are just as important and need to be catered to and tended to, so that families understand maybe not 100% what to expect,
Yeah.
but they have some type of idea on what it is that they're going through, mind, body, and spirit.
I mean, I think a simple, I give examples, right? And
Mm-hmm.
try to show people in a way that they can understand it, right? Because we're all
Mm-hmm.
coming from different places. But one of the things that I often share is during labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we've been taught of what we should look at to know where we are in progress in the progress
Mm-hmm.
of labor is dilation, right? And so I'm showing people, like, have you heard of a mom who has gone from 2 centimeters to 10 centimeters in an hour? Or a mom that was stuck at 4 centimeters for 6 hours and then over the course of 30 minutes went to 10 centimeters. Have you seen that differentiation all over the place? And folks are like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've heard that. Okay, then we know this cannot be our tracker of where we are in progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can look at stuff like, what is she doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is she saying out her mouth? How is she
Mm-hmm.
responding? Right? Something as simple as this, her modesty level, right? Like she starts
Mm-hmm.
with all her clothes on, she's
Mm-hmm.
good, and then something
Mm-hmm.
comes off, right? And then something else comes off, and then like she don't care if her butt's
Right.
out, she don't care if the boobies are showing, right? It's like, okay, whatever. Don't talk to me, right? It's so I'm like, there's more to it than physical, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a small example of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the Bradley method, one of the things that they taught was that um a supportive partner can be just as, if not more, beneficial than medicine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And particularly in the transition stage, which is the shortest but the hardest part of labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
having somebody in your ear that's rubbing your back, that's reminding you of your goal, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
telling you you're doing this, you're
Mm-hmm.
closer. Like
Mm-hmm.
you felt that? Yep, we're one step closer to this baby coming out. You about to meet your baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is enough to like get you right past that point of even thinking about medicine,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or interventions or whatever the case may be. And so sharing those types of examples to folks often helps them to understand, like, okay, yeah, there is more to this than just the physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ease. And
Mm-hmm.
we also know that how people think about the process impacts how they do during the process,
Mm.
right? So if I see contractions as unnecessary pain, or I don't understand what the purpose of contractions are, then I'm going to be like, just get rid of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever you
Mm-hmm.
need to do to just not let me feel this.
Yeah.
Versus if I know that this is literally how my body is pushing my baby out,
Mm-hmm.
then okay,
Mm-hmm.
then I probably need to work with this process. I probably need to
Mm-hmm.
not try to numb it or slow it down, but I need to work with it so that it works.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. I love these conversations. I feel like, I mean, and I've been doing birth work for a long while, but just having these conversations, it just brings things back up. Like for me and just different experiences, my own experiences. Just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, so what are you doing now? What are you doing now? What is to come? You, as you have mentioned, are, you're still helping families, you're helping birth professionals, you're still out here doing the dang thing. So what's next? What would you like to see in birth work? So I guess it's a twofold question. What are
Yeah.
you doing? And then what would you like to see happen in the birth work community? More so in the Black community, what would you like to see for our families?
Yeah. So right now I'm on break because I'm tired.
Girl,
Right.
yes.
This year in particular has been really heavy for me. Like I lost my mother, and then just life has been life. And so I decided to take a break. Which I think is really important for birth workers, right? Because we're constantly telling our moms to do that, and we're constantly telling our moms to eliminate stress and to say no. And so I felt like it was time for me to take my own advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And walk the walk. And so I'm taking a break. But we, my team launched Black Birth Central, the website and the directory and the information hub, if you will, earlier this year. And so it's still up, blackbirthcentral.com. It's still up with lots of very helpful information, kind of filling the gaps there. And so I'm waiting on the Lord to tell me where to go next and how to maneuver next. Because I don't think it's a good idea to self-sacrifice, right? I think that I'm needed on this earth, and therefore I have to be here, right? And I have to be here as my full self, and I can support families outside of my business, right? People are still texting me and asking me, what do I do with this? And how does this work? And
It don't stop. It
right?
don't
It don't
stop.
stop. So I'm still out here. And like, I have a lot of friends. I'm in Baltimore. I have a lot of friends who are in birth work and are doing new projects. And so I'm volunteering with them. I'm supporting their work in my spare time. But what I would love to see, I think twofold. One, I would love to see a shift towards producing more midwives, more like community-based midwives, more certified professional midwives. Because I mean, there's a lot of conversation about doulas in the world right now, but we know that the issue is not a lack of doulas, right? Like that's a Band-Aid that we created to support our community, but that's not the issue. The issue is that we don't have the practitioners out here to really do the work and to support families with a midwifery level of care, style of care, right? And so we need more midwives. And if we're being honest, a lot of the people that are doulas right now are really supposed to be midwives. They have a calling of midwifery on their lives, right? But we don't see it. So we don't see it as an option. We see it as far ahead. But I would encourage anybody who feels that tug to do it. Right? Like, just do it because we need you. And then also, I would love for us to find creative ways to support our community, right? And what I mean by that is using our expertise that a lot of us are using in our day jobs, right? And figure out ways to use that in in birth work and in our
Yeah.
community, right? So I have a colleague who she does fundraising for a big university, and she was telling me that she raised like, I think it was like $7 million in a year for this. And I'm like, sis, how do we leverage for your ability to talk to people in the right way to get them to donate that type of money? Right? Like, how do we leverage that? I think a lot of times we try to conform ourselves to something else or what we think is needed. So like everybody's becoming a doula because that's what being talked about. Oh, we need doulas. So everybody's a doula. No, we need some fundraisers too.
Yeah.
Right. We need some administrative folks. We need some HR folks that'll help build up some infrastructure to really support our communities the way we need it to be supported. Like we need some entrepreneurs that know how to sell, t-shirts and products and stuff like that can help support the people that are on the ground, right? Really sustain this stuff. And I think, yeah, we need to really lean into who we are, right? And what we've already mastered. Like we keep trying to learn new stuff when we already have things that we've mastered already.
Absolutely.
And that we can just lean into in a different way. And so, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That some folks who have been doing it big over in corporate America will take them same skills, right, and leverage it for us in a different way. So
yeah. Don't step on people's toes. Don't be over here stepping on my toes. Don't sign up for another training. Don't you sign up for not married training. Okay?
Not another one. Like I've had people come to, like, I usually do monthly meetups for birth workers, and folks will be like, yeah, I have 5 training certifications. I'm like, okay, but I still haven't had a birth.
What are we doing?
No. Either you need to stop playing or you're in the wrong area. Right? Like, you're in the wrong area.
But I think another thing, and we talked about this in birth, families in birthing people and women going through the process, right? Going through birth, it also shows up professionally, fear. And if I can just get another training, if I just get another certificate, if I just go through one more class, but we, like you said, we have to start asking ourselves, how are we mastering what we already have under our belt, or are just God-given skills that we have that we can hone in on and just really master, as you said, and perfect, instead of feeling like we need to get one more thing. And I think sometimes a lot of that is fear, the fear of putting yourself out there, the fear of maybe not getting it right on the first try, the fear of, I just want to make sure that people believe me, that I'm worthy enough, that I'm good enough, and that I'm credentialed enough for people to take me seriously. And so the work that you are doing, and I think so many others, myself included, in really supporting birth workers in this field to say, hey, you are enough and you have enough, right? So let's work together so that you can put those skills to use. You don't need anything right now. And it doesn't mean that you can't go to another class or training. I mean, as long as you're alive, I think that you should be learning and evolving and growing, right? But I think one of the things that needs to be asked sometimes when we are trying to pile on all these trainings and certifications is, why do you keep doing that? Like, what is it really, right?
What is it?
What is it really? What's really happening? Is it a fear? Let's talk about that, because that's what's getting in the way of your progress, of you seeing, right? That's how you're getting to burnout quicker. That's how you're getting into spaces where you're like, well, I don't know if birth work is for me. That's getting in the way of why you won't take the leap to do midwifery, right? So you're out here doing the thing.
I'll also say this. I think also when we talk about community and working together, we need to reimagine what that looks like, right? Because so many of us have the same vision, but we're doing it separately, right? And so you have 5 people that's all trying to start organizations to provide doula support or whatever it is, and it, like, now you have 5 people trying to do 5 jobs in 5 different organizations when those people could have came together. One person
Mm-hmm.
was out recruiting folks. One person is out fundraising. One person's doing marketing. 2 people is doing the doula work. Like, we really have to redefine what that means. And I know we have trust issues and all these things, but I need us to realize the reality of it, that we support each other way more than we don't. Right? Like, like Black women show up for each other, right? Like, we show up for each other. Like, when I'm on a Black woman's Facebook page, it's always them sharing somebody else's stuff, right? Other people's businesses. Yep, go check her out. We are always bigging each other up. And so I think that we can, one, stop telling ourselves the lies that we don't get along, that we're always competing. No, we're not. There's a few of those things out here, yes. But mostly what I have experienced, what I see, is that we support each other. We love on each other. We encourage each other. And we can absolutely leverage that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, I mean, what else is there to say, ma'am? What else is there to say? But I have two more questions. So our last question, our closing question, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self? Slow down. I would tell myself to slow down. When I first became an entrepreneur, my husband was like, why don't you like work a job, save up money, and then really go into this thing? And I was like, no, I need to do it now. Right. And here I am almost 10 years later. And I'm like, I probably should have did that, because if I would have saved that money for 5 years, right, and then jumped into it, I would be in a totally different place right now. Right. And so I would tell myself, yes, it is an urgent need, but slow down. Right. And even if the problem gets solved while you're taking your time, then the problem's solved. No, you didn't solve it, but it's okay. The problem's solved. We can move on. Yeah. Right. So slow down. Slow down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just want to sit with that for a minute. It's like telling our adult self that too, right? Slow down, because things just move so fast, but that resonates so deeply with me for a number of reasons, for another topic on another day. But yes, absolutely. I love that. How can people get in touch with you? How can we support you? How can we love on you? How can we share your work? Where can people find you? Where are you, girl?
On all the social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Black Birth Central. Website is Black Birth Central.
Is that .com, .org?
.com.
Okay.
.com. Yeah, I'm in these streets, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you outside.
I'm really leaning into having fun. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, reach out to me, send me messages. I might not respond like right away, because I'm
taking a break.
Yeah, social media is too much, right? Like, it's a lot. So, be patient with me, but I'll get back.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much, and I appreciate you, and I honor you, and I thank you for just taking some time today. I'm sending you so much love. I hope that you come back so we can chat some more about some different stuff as things grow and progress, especially with Black Birth Central. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna go check it out. And please let me know if you need anything. But again, thank you so much for showing up today and being here and just sharing your story. And I hope to see you soon.
Yes, thank you for the invite. I love you as well.